So when I was 5 months pregnant with my son, I picked up a knife. I remember walking into my room with this knife, and I was like, that's when I thought about God. I was like, God, if you know that there's no use for me in this world, let me just end it now. But if you know that there's a use for me in this world, okay, give me a sign. And as I lifted that knife, my baby kicked me in the womb. You will not believe, like, I was a scarecrow, everything. I was already losing my mind. So I left church.
Remember, life is a journey, and whether you walk that journey alone or with someone, we all experience unexpected roadblocks and failures along the way. It's not what you do when you fall, it's what you do when you get up. So no matter what life throws at you, always remember, still I rise. Still I rise.
Good, right?
Yeah, it's good. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for being patient and everything.
It's not a problem. The devil always tries to, go against whenever you're doing something for God. Your story is just so interesting, and I just really want others to see that there's nothing that God cannot do for them. So I would just like for you to give them a little bit about your story and, how you came up from what you started from and where you are now. How did that transformation happen? So you can go ahead without any further ado.
Can I start with my prayer, please?
Okay, go ahead and start with your prayer.
Okay. Dear God, today and always, please grant me the serenity and the discernment to choose what better leads to your deepening your life within me. May I hold myself in balance at all times, ever aware and fully conscious of your marvelous masterpiece within me. You search me and you know me. You love me and you forgive me. You need me and you lead me. All I ask is for the grace to always seek to know and do your will in every circumstance with total gratitude. May I be able to always put on your armor, generously be an inspiration and motivation to those you put on my path with my experiences in your merciful and everlasting way. Counting on Mary's intercession, today I lift up my prayers through Christ our Lord. Amen. Okay, so yes, thank you so much, Ricardo, for having me. Yeah, I am ready.
It's an honor to have you here, and I'm just excited to see what God is about to do, and in your life and for others to come in the future.
Yeah, that's why I had to start with my prayer. I promised him that each time I have to talk about him, I will start with this prayer, which I wrote in 2016. I don't know where to start, but I'm going to start from somewhere, and as the Spirit leads, I'm going to be talking, and then you'll be prompting me, stuff like that.
Okay.
So, well, I've written 8 books, plus 1 journal. So it means that there was so much going on in my head, and I had to put all of that down. And they are all memoirs, so it's not like stories of fiction and stuff like that. I grew up in Douala, a bouncy child. These children, they call happy-go-lucky children. All over the place kind of a child. And things happened, my parents divorced, and we had a mean stepmother, and we went through torture for 2 years, my brother and I, basically. And then, as a young girl, you're dreaming about meeting your Prince Charming and then getting married and happily ever after. It didn't work out like that. And in secondary school, I now had a boyfriend and stuff like that. And then in high school, I went to an all-girls high school, nothing significant. Then I went to the university, and it was crazy. So it's like you are now free to frolic. I like to call sex frolic because it's just like fooling around, with your body. And before then, there was some sexual abuse, when I was 9. by female, a cousin of mine. She's dead now, rest in peace, which was never addressed because I didn't know what to do with that. And then I remember in high school, I had some fungal infection and I went to the doctor. I was still a virgin, but the doctor didn't ask me. And he used something, to probably, he fooled around in there. I don't think he was just checking me up. So I remember that there was a lot of blood that came out. That was my hymen. And I didn't know what to do with that. So I have this fear of intercourse. When I got to the university, I was just jumping around because I just wanted to taste and see, but I was never satisfied. So I just kept jumping around. I cannot even tell you how many, I cannot tell you how many. I don't count. And then I got to, after university, I got to, adult life, looking for a job and stuff. And there's a chapter in my book, I call it The Loves Go Out of Bounds, because I met someone who was in the seminary, and that means to become a priest, right? And we had an affair, and I got pregnant just when I decided to stop, so I had a child out of wedlock, and these children with a priest, what's wrong with you? And then I continued, I have been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. So I think that there's a lot of explanation to do with my mental health, but I didn't know at the time. So I kept looking for love in the wrong places or all of those things. I didn't even, I was not really born in the church as people say I was born in the church, but yeah, I was baptized as a Catholic and all of those things, go to mass, but nothing significant, no relationship with Jesus. So I cannot say, hey, Jesus, what's going on? Why is my life turning out this way? Nothing. I thought getting married would be the solution. So I met a guy in December and I told this guy, either you're getting married to me or you're getting lost. So 3 months later, we were married. And I got pregnant immediately. We met in December. That's wrong, right? And I lost that child. I had a miscarriage when I was 5 months pregnant. And so we got married, but I just knew that you don't get married for those kind of reasons. So it couldn't work out. It was torment, hell, abuse. He abused me, I abused him. I don't know what he did. I cannot speak for him, but I know what I did, right? I stepped out of my marriage not once, but 6 times. And at one point, I realized this is not working. I lost a daughter in 2008. I had a son in 2006, and then I lost a daughter in 2008. And when I got pregnant in 2009, I didn't want to live anymore, So when I was 5 months pregnant with my son, I picked up a knife. I remember walking into my room with this knife, and I was like, that's when I thought about God. I was like, God, if you know that there's no use for me in this world, let me just end it now. But if you know that there's a use for me in this world, okay, give me a sign. And as I lifted that knife, my baby kicked me in the womb. He's 13 today. So each of his birthday, I'm thinking about my second chance. And as he kicked me, I dropped the knife and I just fell to the ground and I started crying.
Wow.
I was like, okay, so you have a use for me. What is that use? But like you once said, even after you remember when you said you were sick and yet you promised him, but once you got well, you continued. Okay, so when that incident passed, I was with somebody, and this person told me, you cannot continue in that marriage like that. You're not deceiving anybody but yourself. You have to leave. And I was like, yes, I really want to leave. That was in 2010 when I made that decision to leave. And I left in May 2011. The same day I left my marriage, I left this country. I left my children behind. That's how I was. Like, I had planned everything, bought a ticket for UAE and everything, and I just left. And when I got there, things didn't work out, and I came back and stuff. And then I went to Arusha, Tanzania. I worked there for 1 year. Because through it all, I'm a very intelligent person, so I just keep learning and learning, and I just love learning and learning. And I just love learning and learning. So I went to Arusha, I finished Arusha, came back, and then I had applied for a master's program to do a master's in the University of Kent in the UK, because I did law. I had a law degree and everything. And then I went to Belgium because the university's campus where the program was offered was in Brussels. So I went to Belgium, I was in Brussels, and I met somebody, you know, he really helped me to kind of look at myself in the mirror and to, you know, start working on myself. Let me just put it that way, to go and see a psychiatrist, a psychotherapist, and do the work gradually, gradually. It was very hard. This person wasn't a Christian, he was an atheist. But like you said, my mother also bought me a Bible once because she had asked me, what do you want? And I said, a Bible, you know. So I used to go everywhere with that Bible too. And so I kept that Bible away, you know, I wasn't praying and everything. And one day, just when I had decided to come back to Cameroon because I don't know, I was just restless there and everything. Although I had a good job and everything, but I wasn't, and this man was so loving and everything, but I didn't want to stay there anymore. You know, there's something that itches you all the time. And so I decided to come back, and so I moved out of his apartment and I got a small place of my own. And I remember I had been in that room for maybe 3 days, you know, not wanting to go out. It was in February. February is a tough month for me. I lost my daughter in February. So many things happened in February. So I was just there crying, and I was like, Father, please now. Okay, you promised me I didn't kill myself in 2009 because you said there was use for me. Now I'm going to take all of these tablets because I was on antidepressants, you know, and I think the side effects were also messing up with me. So I said, it seems you don't have any use for me. So let me just take all of these tablets now. I mean, I'm done. I'm tired. And my children are not even here. That made 4 years since I was away from my country. And so I just heard a voice sometimes, maybe at around 2 a.m., whatever, I don't know. Bring down your Bible. I think I can remember where that Bible was. I put it in a small box, you know, something like you don't want to show it and you just want to be sure you know where it is. So I just put my hand up there in the dark and I took down that Bible. Because when you are depressed, you don't want to open the blinds, you don't want no light, you don't want no nothing. And then I had a bedside light. So when I brought down the Bible and the voice said, open it. And I put on that light and I opened that Bible. And I'm telling you, I just fell on Proverbs 3, verse 5 to 6. Lean not on your own understanding, but in everything acknowledge God and he will guide your paths and stuff like that. Like I had never seen that before. I cried and cried because I had been trying all along to lean on my own understanding, to do it on my own. But, you know, Ricardo, you know how the spirit can be willing and the flesh is weak.
Yeah.
So that was the first time when I said, okay, Father, I'm leaning on you. I'm going back. And I promise you, I'm not having no chronic with nobody. Blah, 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 blah. No, no, no. Good. And so I came back in, when was that? I left there on the 30th of July, 2011, or 31st of July, something like that. But I know that I got here on the 1st of August. Yeah, that's true. I got here, I started, you know, trying to build my life again. I mean, I was already a lawyer, so I could start trying to see how to, you know, set up something and stuff like that. And I had also decided to do psychology, you know, to become a psychotherapist and see how I can help people back home. So in the mix of all of that, I was still thinking, you know, and stuff like that. And then I tried for 5 months, you know, to abstain and just be alone in my corner. But, you know, men also don't leave people alone. You know, they keep talking to you and all of that. And yeah, I still had that hole in me. Like I thought a relationship will fill it. Somebody's arms, not necessarily for sex, but just his arms and all of that. And so while I gave in and nothing to write home about, because crazy relationships, some married people, some this, some that, like so much crazy. And then I set up practice. Finally, gradually, I kind of picked myself up. My mother offered me a 3 days retreat. It was during that retreat that I wrote that prayer, because the priest asked me to go and write my prayer. And I went into a chapel. I did not used to read the Bible, so it's not like I was reading the Bible when I was writing that prayer. I was just like, okay, this is a pen and a paper. What do you want me to write? And so he was giving me the inspiration, and I was writing. That's how I wrote that prayer. And then I memorized the prayer, and I would say it every night and sometimes every morning too. And that was in 2016. 2017, nothing significant, and stuff like that. December 2017, I start to do this certification to become a psychotherapist. I start to work, I start to do stuff. And then I had moved into my own place too. And I had taken my children back, after some fight and stuff. And I was beginning to feel convicted that, no, you have to just let go. You have to have this relationship with God. You are making effort, but you need to do something more. And so I am able to connect with him in a special way. So I asked him, what do you want me to do? He said, you will fast for 70 days.
Wow.
Oh, look, I have a blog, so I write a lot. So there's nothing I say here that cannot be verified somewhere. I said, Papa, 70 days? He said, yes. I said, okay, so how am I going to do that? Well, I've been fasting before, so it's not something strange, but 70 days, I'm like, So he said, you do it in 4 stages, and you have 3 days of break between those 4 stages. So you know how sometimes you say people will think you are crazy when you tell the things you are doing. Yeah, people thought I was crazy. 7 days, stage 1. 14 days, stage 2. 21 days, stage 3. 28 days, stage 4. Count all of that, it gives you 70 days. The day to start was given to me, and the day to end was given to me, and it made 70 days. And the theme was given to me. I have a diary, I have journals, and I had to pass from 7 things for those 70 days. Oh. Yeah, well, but that was, I call it enlightenment, the atonement and the enlightenment. I was, people could say I was crazy because I think I was crazy. I became like this. I was just seeing things and writing things and saying things and stuff like that. And then 2018 came and passed. 2019, I was not going to church all that time, right? Because I'd come back and I just I did not find God in a church anyway. So I didn't see why I'm going to do that, because they don't tell me about God there. There's all that decorum and the whole process and the mass and the this and the that. I was like, me, I'll just stay home. You and I, we are cool here. So in 2019, he said, okay, you can go to church now. You have to go to church. I was like, which church? He said, that one near your house. I was like, okay, good. It's not even far, so I'll go there. And I knew somebody there, so I just thought it was going to be an interesting place, right? I went there in February 2019, and I left in July, completely battered, abused, used, and all of that. Yeah. I left there back again like this. If I show you my picture, I put 2 pictures together, you will not believe, I was a scarecrow, everything. I was already losing my mind. So I left church and I was like, okay, Father, I'm done. But this time around, I did not leave God. My relationship with him was still intact. He actually made me understand. He told me why he wanted me to go to that church, to go and see that not everybody who says, Lord, Lord, actually is his person, right? And stuff like that. And that there are wolves in sheep's clothing right inside the church. And that, because when I went, I was also full of intensity, the kind of intensity Paul had. I'm a very hyper, I have a lot of energy. So I used to serve, and when you start serving, they just make you serve everywhere. I had to even help the pastor to write his book. I was writing my own book, but I put it aside, wrote all his book in 3 months, in 2 months. I was just and some of those, when you start going, they have church morning, something in the afternoon, something in the evening, Sister Mary. And so I stopped and I just kept working on myself. I continued fasting, continued praying, continued meditating. In that same 2019, he had given me this ministry, Love and Healing Ministries. And when I tried to talk to the pastor about it, he was like, what is that? Are you sure it is God who told you that? Just stop that. We are going to deliver you from this madness or whatever. So I just left the ministry there. I created a Facebook page, but I wasn't doing anything. And so 2019, I also got into a relationship and it was messy. And I left. And 2020, the pandemic came and nobody wants to try anything. So of course, I also did not try any relationship anymore. 2021, that was last year, I was like, okay, Father, no, I can't just stay alone like this and everything. But I will just try 2 weeks, 3 weeks, dead end. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, dead end. And I keep praying to God and I keep fooling around. And in November, the last one, I just met that person on a dating site and we're just starting everything. And then one day we just met and that same day, frolic. I was like, no, this is not my life. What are you doing to your body like that? So I cried out. I was like, Father, please help me. I'm done. And he said, okay, are you willing to give me 12 months of your body to see what I would do in and through you? I was like, yes, Papa, yes, Papa, yes, Papa, I'm ready. So he said, good, take a pen and a paper, write. Abstinence with commitment journey. Start 1st of December 2021 to 1st of December 2022. I was like, wow. And I had written a book. I just finished writing a book called, what is the title of that book again? It's interesting. Musings on the Murky Dating and Relationships Terrain by a lady who has had plenty interactions on that terrain. I like writing stuff, right? I like to process my things and dump them in books. So he said, okay, that book that you have written, that is the end of foolishness, right? I was like, yes, Papa. So I started this abstinence with commitment journey and I stopped everything. I had even left Facebook for 3 months. He said, get out of there. I walk in obedience. He says, stop, I stop. He says, and then I picked up the ministry. He said, take it to IG. I took it to IG. You have to minister twice a week. I do all of that and stuff like that. So I am on day 235, right? And I honestly have not had any serious urge to be with someone, and a testimony in March, I met someone online on Facebook who had been following me for 2 years. So they know all of my crazy, even when I posted a nude picture, to advocate against people who are blackmailing others with their nudes, and stuff. So I dance. I used to dance live on Facebook. And I had 4,500 friends, and God said, slash all of that rubbish. This is enough for you. So yeah, so this person is also a very church person. This person has been abstaining for 10 years. So we are just friends and everything, and we are praying and all of that, and just supporting each other, but no fooling around, not at all. And this can only be God, because before me, no, not possible.
I want to touch on the experience you had when you did that 70-day fasting. Was it 70 days?
Yeah.
What transpired in that 70 days and what you gained from it in the end?
Oh my goodness. First of all,
and I said, I can't even work. I have one arm. I'm on drugs from you guys. And I was so combative and I was so angry and I got desperate with God, you see, because sometimes God will get you to a place where you have to feel desperate. God. Yes, God. He will get you to a place like Jonah in the belly of a whale, so then you could get on your knees and cry out, God, help me. So I got to a place where I said, God, help me. I can't deal with the pain in my arm, God. I can't deal with the pain, God, of everything that I have lost in my life. God, help me. And I began to cry out in pain. And I said, God, do you see the things that I have had to endure? And he said, I have not forgotten about you, daughter. And he told me to come to me.